Autoline Daily is brought to you by Bridgestone, passion for excellence.
Here are today's top headlines. German automakers get CO2 exemptions from the American government that American automakers cannot get. Nissan says its EV program will be profitable, and cash for clunkers generates a lot of showroom traffic. Up next, we'll be back with the news behind the headlines. This is Autoline Daily for Tuesday, July 28, 2009, and now the news. A couple of days ago, we reported that automakers would no longer be able to pay a fine if they did not meet U.S. fuel economy standards. Well, it looks like the American government changed its mind. The Wall Street Journal says companies like Mercedes, BMW, Porsche, and others can keep selling cars that emit more greenhouse gases than the law allows. But of course, the American government would never grant an exemption like that to American automakers. They call it the German provision. And both the federal government and the state of California allow exemptions for cars like the Mercedes S600 that's rated at 13 miles per gallon. That's 18 liters per 100 kilometers. Nissan says that its electric car program is going to be profitable thanks to all the government subsidies it's getting. Bloomberg reports that Nissan is getting help from governments around the world, including $1.6 billion from the U.S. Nissan is putting the capacity in place in the U.S., Europe, and Japan to build 350,000 EVs a year. It will start production in Japan next year. The Cash for Clunkers program got underway in the American market yesterday, and dealers reported a big jump in showroom traffic. While most buyers do not qualify for the incentive, the Wall Street Journal reports that many dealers have seen their sales triple. But other experts warn this is just pulling sales forward, and they'll drop off again when the money runs out. Ron Bloom, the newly appointed head of the Auto Task Force, says the government plans to sell its stake in GM and Chrysler as soon as possible. According to the AP, Bloom expects an initial public offering for GM next year, but the government won't sell all its shares at once. The U.S. government now owns 61% of the new General Motors and 8% of Chrysler. Delphi may finally exit from bankruptcy soon, but not with Platinum Equity as the new owners. According to the Detroit News, Delphi's lenders won an auction for the supplier's assets. During Delphi's bankruptcy, the lenders gave the company $3.5 billion in loans and threatened to foreclose the company if it went ahead with Platinum's offer. General Motors said it supports the new bid and that it would be a better deal for GM than Platinum's offer. The new agreement still includes selling off 4 of Delphi's U.S. plants and its global steering business to General Motors. Magna has improved its bid for OPEL. According to Reuters, the Canadian supplier is now offering 350 million euros of its own capital, up from 100 million. The German government favors a Magna takeover, and now Opel's workers are saying the same thing. According to the Detroit Free Press, Opel's workers prefer Magna and will not help rescue the automaker if they don't get a say in who the company ends up with. Workers are being asked to provide up to 1.5 billion euros in concessions, which is more than any investor intends to commit. Coming up next, a closer look at the interior of the redesigned 2010 Ford Taurus. We'll be back right after this.
Changing tires out here could be dangerous, but with these tires, I don't need to worry.
Bridgestone.
Yesterday we looked at the exterior of the new Ford Taurus, and today we're getting an inside up front look at what the company's done to revamp the interior. Hi, I'm here with Lon Zabak, the interior designer of the new Taurus, and we're going to talk all about some of the details on the interior of the new Taurus. And Lon, we got to start out by talking about the basic shape that you've got on the top of the instrument panel here.
And you were telling me earlier that this comes right out of the Mustang, or some of the DNA of the Mustang.
It certainly does. What you first notice when you open the door on Taurus is the sculpture of the interior, specifically the twin brows, which you're referring to. And the twin brows are very much a Ford DNA. We sort of own that, if you will, in the sense that it has that soul of Mustang. And like I said earlier, it's handled in a much more sculptural fashion here than it is in the Mustang.
The other thing you notice is the sweep of the center stack going into the console here too, and no brake lines, no cut lines.
Absolutely. It's a really exciting story. There were a lot of challenges to do this. We're leaned back at a 37-degree angle, which is further than we've ever done before, in order to get this really clean flow into the instrument panel. But what gets you the lack of cut lines and the improvement in craftsmanship is that we assemble the console in the vehicle, so it doesn't come in as an assembly and then get butted up against the instrument panel. It actually comes in as a structure, and then we assemble the parts. So you completely eliminate all of the cut lines and the gaps and craftsmanship problems that you would typically see.
So this is where you got manufacturing to work with you to get this beautiful look.
Absolutely. And there were also a lot of challenges in laying back the center stack the way we did, and we had to create some new parts on the backside in order to make that happen.
And the height of the center console, this has got to be the highest one I've ever seen in any car before.
Yes. Well, the height of that also adds to the sense of sportiness and the cockpit feel that you get inside the vehicle, and works together to give us that clean flow. If it's lower, getting that clean flow into the instrument panel is a harder thing to do. It does have a functional, though, purpose as well, in the sense that all of the bins in the console are deeper, and there's more storage space that comes out of having the higher console. So it's not just good looking, it's also functional.
And since we're sitting in an SHO, you got to talk about these panels that are unique to this model.
Yes, we're in an SHO model, and on the SHO exclusively, you get the real aluminum on the instrument panels. On the limited vehicles, you get a wood grain panel here, but the SHO is more of that sense of machined feel, and that's something we also borrow from our Mustang.
And I'm blown away by the speaker grill on top, because you said this is actually a molding.
Yes.
And yet you had to individually design each hole in the mesh?
Well, one of the things we do with Taurus is we're offering a huge amount of value in this car. So we're giving the quality you would find in a much more expensive vehicle at a lower price point. So instead of having metal mesh here, we have a plastic form part, but we wanted that metal mesh look. So we took the extra time to actually individually computer model every hole in that part to create that metal mesh appearance. And that's the kind of quality and craftsmanship message we sent about the whole vehicle.
And then you've got these ripples on the speaker grills on the doors, and you got a special term for that.
Yeah, we
too.
call those our Zen waves. And again, it's a molded part. It could be any shape. What we wanted to do was create an interesting light pattern, something how the light bounces and shadow bounces off of that. And we came up with a pattern that's very much like the sort of Zen waves you'd see in a rock garden. And it's a little whimsical and fun, but we then took that pattern, we repeat it in other areas of the vehicle, even on the interior panels and in the cup holders, where you see a water droplet pattern that gives you that sense of a wet area, and the Zen waves in the glove box compartment as well.
Well, Lon, it's a sensational look. Thanks so much for taking me around the interior of the new Taurus.
Well, thank you very much.
And that's it for today's news, but don't forget to tune in to Autoline After Hours on Thursday night at 7 p.m. Eastern, when our guest will be Jim Hall from 2953 Analytics, who always has some great insight to talk about. On another note, we're working on a story all about hypermiling, and we'd like to know your driving tricks to get the best possible fuel economy. Give us a call at 1-620-AUTOLINE, that's Autoline without the E. The full number is 1-620-288-6546. And that's it for today's program. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.
Visit our website for even more great content all week long. Autoline Extra, John's Journal, podcasts, and even more. So click over and get the inside view at AutolineDetroit.tv.